The Lakeside Mall in Sterling Heights, Michigan originally opened in 1976 and then closed for good on June 30th, 2024. This video aims to talk about the history as well as explore the mall on its final day of operation, as well as analyze some of the plans for redevelopment into the future. So I hope you enjoy. We're going to get started with the history now. We are now moving on to the mall tour portion of the video. This was filmed on the very last day. I kind of made a last minute decision to take a little bit of a road trip out to the Detroit metro area just to see this mall on its very last day. Immediately walking in, I was kind of swept away just by how beautiful it was and just how well maintained everything was. The mall was also packed. If there were stores open, this is what you would imagine like a healthy mall would look like on a normal weekend. There were only 2 inline stores, as well as the JCPenney and the 2 Macy's department stores that were open today. So the mall was empty, but just looking around, it didn't feel like that there were so many people here. Built by the Taubman Company, one of the largest mall developers in the country at the time, they had a very distinct architecture style that is just basically this place. It's like what you see right there. The wood railings, this like marble floor, intricate skylights, large, wide open concourses and spaces, but there's also like a sense of discovery. Right here is the former Lord & Taylor. This closed 5 years ago. Sign is still up. I really think the mall entrance to this store is beautiful though, so. At one point, Taubman was one of the biggest mall developers in the country. They built most of their malls with a very similar architectural style to Lakeside, especially in the 70s. This mall has actually never had a major renovation since it opened, so it still carries that original Taubman look and aesthetic. Most of Taubman's malls have been sold and renovated many times, and they often serve as like some of the most productive malls in their metropolitan areas. For example, they built and owned and managed Woodfield for a very long time. I really wanted to come see Lakeside because it was one of the best preserved examples of this 1970s Taubman architecture. It was also the largest mall in the state of Michigan, all the way till its closure. And it's very rare to hear about the largest mall in a state just closing. We are walking back toward the Macy's men's and home store. There were just people chilling in the conversation pit, a group of people taking a picture in front of the Macy's sign. People were just trying to celebrate the mall on its last day. Comfy. So it was just announced that this store is now scheduled to close, both the main Macy's store and this back men's and home store. I'm really surprised they even tried to keep this back store open with the mall closed. I mean, it now required people to have to go and drive around to go to the home or the men's department, which just kind of seems goofy. I am kind of surprised that they are closing both of their stores here, because this area used to have a Nordstrom's, it used to have Carson's, it used to have Lord & Taylor, Sears if you want to count that. Now the only department store left here is Kohl's and JCPenney. I don't know, it seems like a very stark drop off, and to me, Macy's should have made it. This was hinted at a bit in the intro, but I say this as a non-Detroit native. It just seems like this area has been extremely over-retailed. They built another mall right down the street. I mean, really? And that mall, it's doing better. It's obviously still open, but it lost both of its anchors as well. As someone who's definitely interested in urban planning, it's like, why? Why do we do this to ourselves? Capitalism. Taubman, the original developer of this mall, even built the new mall at Partridge Creek after they offloaded their ownership stake in Lakeside. Yeah. This is why we have global warming. Not only reason why, but it's a reason. Play big. It's a big empty space. Yeah. So we have just magically teleported upstairs, and we're gonna go check out the food court. The food court has a completely different vibe than the rest of the mall. They use like earth tones, and they put all these quotes that make no sense up at the top. One cannot think well, love well, sleep well, if one is not dined well. They're gonna do that at the Lakeside Mall food court, right? Or formerly. There were no food places open today, unfortunately. The food court is one of my favorite spots in the entire mall. It felt very cozy with this beautiful window, and apparently there was a carousel here. Long live the sun, which gives you such beautiful colors. Like, who picked this? I'm sorry. It just screams mid-2000s. I kind of love it, but... There is where the carousel used to rest in peace. And then they took it out. This area, I have no idea why it looks like this, but they like carved out a semi-fine dining area into the food court. Yeah. Laughter is the shortest distance between two people. I don't know what to say. Dining is and always was a great artistic opportunity. I felt so inspired leaving that food court here, despite there being nowhere to eat. And then I got to see this beautiful sculpture, which is supposedly going to be saved alongside all of these other original sculptures that date back to the 1970s and are amazing and are be somehow incorporated into the new redevelopment efforts, which is awesome to see. So now we're going to begin making our way back to the Macy's and the JCPenney. From what I understand is that this mall was doing okay. It wasn't doing great, and operating a mall is not cheap. But there was still a decent amount of stores in here, pretty much all the way to closure, and they had tried to, bring in some small businesses to provide some temporary life and activity within the property. So I'd label this mall closing ultimately a bit of a premature closure. While it's clearly dead, needed to be redeveloped, its owners and the city here are trying to be proactive and not let it rot away. It was never owned by a slumlord like Namdar or Kohan Real Estate. And the current owners have a solid and appears to be real plan to actually redevelop it. The redevelopment plans for this property look really exciting. they're taking down the mall and rebuilding it as this like mixed use style downtown campus that is all the rage now. JCPenney will also apparently be staying, so that's cool. I do want to give a little bit of a eulogy, though, toward the mall, in the sense of it's this wonderful indoor space. People can congregate in the winter. I mean, or bad weather, or when it's extremely hot, that, you know, an outdoor space just doesn't offer. I feel like I am stuck inside. I'm recording this in the middle of winter, and I'm like, what else do I do? It's literally negative 30 outside. I could have gone to the mall, maybe not that cold, but yeah. It's a huge loss. Seniors would go and congregate here, chilling out at the food court. It's a great place to walk laps and just people watch. It's a serious loss. Yes, many malls were built kind of with the same stores, the same thing happening at every single mall. But that doesn't mean they could have been done better, and I don't want to give up on the concept completely, where there's just a nice, solid, community-oriented indoor mall, which most were not built to. Are you sure this place is closing? Are you sure this place closed? I mean, look how many people are here. The fountain was unfortunately not running. It's just such an amazing space, and it's sad that this is now gone. I was so excited to try to get to ride this elevator, except it was out of order, so big sad. We are now approaching the two remaining stores in the mall and the main Macy's store. There's this nail salon here on the left, and then this Game On store that had some, you know, Biden, not my president, and Trump merchandise on top of sports merchandise. Floor cam. Artistic shot that I probably should have just cut, but I'm leaving it in to make this joke. Floor cam. Black cinder block wall. Another look at the fantabulous merchandise at Game On. It was busy, at least. So in a recent rendering that was put up of what the new redevelopment will look like, there's going to be like this central core with a street grid, JCPenney is going to remain, but in November there was a rendering without Macy's, so I'm assuming that this closure was not completely unexpected. The Sears building is staying. I don't know why. Okay, so it turns out the Sears is actually separately owned, and the owner of the Sears is currently suing the mall, concerned about the demolition damaging the Sears building, so that might halt the whole demolition of the mall. That's why. It looks like a really cool and unique way to repurpose a formerly indoor shopping mall. They have different components with a downtown, they call the heart, with a lot of buzzwords, but it's definitely one of the most interesting redevelopment efforts of a former shopping mall that I have seen proposed in recent years, and it has received attention from all over the country as potentially a model for cities that want to replace their indoor malls with something productive and nice for the community. We'll see if this all plays out. You know, developing things is kind of hard, and you got to find people and money to do what you want. So, and things change. We are now making our way toward the JCPenney store. They only had their second floor mall entrance open, so you can only enter through the top. So far, they are not closing, and they're not going to be the last department store other than Kohl's remaining in this area. There is another sculpture in front of the JCPenney entrance. I also just really like this JCPenney entrance. It's got like a peak 70s style design. Just very pleasant to look at. If I'm not dorking out too much about something as fascinating as a mall entrance to a JCPenney store. Yeah. Ultimately, the Lakeside Mall has fallen victim to department store-itis, where every single mall ended up being anchored by the same stores featuring the same, thing. Once you've been to this mall, you've practically been to a mall, and that has effectively, killed and poisoned so many malls across this country. It's really frustrating to see this happen time and time again, but you also kind of recognize that all these places were the same. So, or at least with their stores, different architecture styles, but they didn't really try to reflect their communities that well. You go into a more Hispanic oriented, flea market style mall. Those seem to be doing really well. People want to socialize. They want to people watch. They want to, just be able to be out in a space with a very low barrier to entry. And the loss of indoor malls like this one leaves a very huge hole to fill in many communities. So it's kind of sad. Yeah. So after that little bit of a philosophical turn, we're back in the center court. Just to say one final goodbye to this turned off fountain, to this broken elevator, to the hundreds of people taking pictures, including many other dead mall YouTubers who turns out were here. There's a former Abercrombie & Fitch, bye. Former Auntie Anne's, bye. They never took down their sign for some reason. I'm so happy that I got to go see this mall at least once. I've kind of been eyeing it from a distance, like, wow, that Lakeside Mall is so pretty. That would be really cool to go visit one day. And then, you know, it gets announced that it's finally going to close. It's like, I should probably make the trip. And I made the trip. While I don't travel that much for various reasons. But I'm really happy I did make the trek out here just to, you know, go visit this mall. And it was a really cool experience.
There were times that I knew for sure I had the answer without a doubt. So many rules that gave me.
As we head out of the mall for the final time, we passed by a cart. People saying goodbye and just getting excited about a dead mall. To the conversation pits and all the wonderful conversations that obviously took place there. We head down this mall entrance corridor. Past this Jeepers sign and to the tunes of Cindy Lee. I am just drawing this out. I'd like to thank you all for watching this 27-minute video. No, it's gonna go 28-minute long video talking about the Lakeside Mall in Sterling Heights, Michigan. I really appreciate everyone sticking around and watching these videos still. There will be some final clips on the screen now. I hope you all have a safe next few years whenever I post next. As always, thank you.
On the mission at the barbecue.